We're coming to you live from the Milimani Law Courts, as you said. And here are the Milimani Law Courts. The LSK elections have kicked off as we have been doing interviews with some of the candidates who are vying for different positions. The elections are being conducted by the IEBC and managed by a 7 board member of the LSK that is being led by Senior Counsel Jan Mohamed Zehrabu. And also there are so many candidates vying for different positions, including the position of the president, the vice president, and different representatives, as well as a female representative to the Judicial Service Commission. While my colleague Ben Troy has been speaking to some of the candidates here at the Milimani Law Courts, and they have been sharing their views, different views of how they intend to manage the LSK should they win these positions, given that there have been wrangles at the previous LSK, and given that the president through the court was removed, and we have been having a caretaker president who is Linda Kiome, and we have been able to see that she's also vying for a position of a representative in the current elections that are going on. Here at the Milimani Law Courts, we've spoken to some of the candidates, including one of the candidates who is vying for the president position. Remember, we have 5 candidates vying for that position, and that was Eric Theory. Now we're going to speak to one of my colleague Ben Troy to just tell us more of what Theory said, or what he seeks to bring to the Law Society of Kenya.
Indeed, it's a big day for the lawyers, indeed, for over 18,000 lawyers in the country. And this exercise, remember, this exercise is being conducted in various high courts in Kenya. And as you can see behind us, there are the polls themselves, the polling stations are behind me, and the boxes, the 9 boxes themselves. And perhaps to touch on some of the aspirants or some of those vying for these positions, they include Nairobi branch Chairman Eric Theory, former Vice President Caroline Kamende, former Treasurer Bernard Kipngetich. We have Matthew Nyabena and Omwanza Ombati. Those are going for the top seat. Of course, there are various positions up for grabs, including that of the women representative at the JSC, the male representative at the JSC. And we're expecting, as we had alluded to earlier, is that the exercise will continue as smoothly as it is. And now I'm joined by Eric Theory live, who is gunning for the top seat, who wants the president seat, and perhaps he can touch on some of the agendas and how to bring back the fire that was LSK. Eric Theory, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Indeed, we had a conversation earlier, but for our live audience, kindly tell us some of the how the exercise, begin with how the exercise has been so far, and what we expect from the new office bearers, reminding us that we need to get the fire back at LSK.
Thank you. We started off very well. Voting has opened across the entire country. All the stations are open, and advocates are streaming in to vote. So we are hoping that the process is going to be completed smoothly. So far, no hitches, and so we are glad about that. We also have noted a slightly lower turnout than in previous cases, but we are hoping it's because advocates are still in court, and we expect that beginning around noon, the turnout will increase. So we just want to urge those that have not voted to come out and exercise their civic duty, because we need to vote for purposes of getting in a new leadership. We have a task. The new leadership that gets into office has a task to heal and bring the society together. We have had a bit of acrimony within the council, which has even led to a very acrimonious exit of the former council. As you are aware, the powers of the president of the Law Society and its council are now being exercised by the branch chair's caucus and the chair of the caucus. But that is now in the past. The most that we can do is to learn the lessons which we got from that administration, and hopefully the new leadership that will come into place would then move to heal the divisions and also ensure that we reclaim, so to speak, our position as leaders in shaping opinion, especially on matters relating to rule of law and the administration of justice.
Indeed. And earlier you have talked about rebuilding the trust that was there and making it a little bit easier for young advocates who are entering into the job market or into the law, into law practice. Can you touch on that?
Yeah. What we've noticed over the last few years is that there is an increasing gap, rather a divide between the younger members of the society and the older members of the society. And that restlessness can be attributed to the difficult period we've gone through. The COVID period was caused us quite a bit of concerns in terms of business, and there was loss of employment opportunities. But also the increase in the number has meant that the opportunities to mentor, which has always been a tradition of the Law Society, to mentor the younger members so that then they are able to be well trained on the craft of the legal profession, because there is the practice of law, but there is also the business of law. So what we've noticed is that there's been a gap in terms of the business of law, which is something that is obtained through experience, and ideally for the younger members then is passed on from the older members through mentorship. So those are some of the initiatives that we hope that we can be able to implement so that we can begin to lower that gap. And also, the acrimony that has existed in the council has created a level of distrust between the membership and its leadership, and we are hoping that we can then be able to have this opportunity to bring the country, to bring the membership together. And that is a task that is on whoever will win the leadership of the Law Society.
Indeed, and there were proposals that LSK as a society should be involved more when the government is signing any contract or any agreement with partners or other countries, so that there's more transparency and accountability when it comes to public funds, and also accountability when it comes to government.
Yeah, indeed, it's true. And you see, we are blessed as a society because we have a lot of experts in international financial flows. We have a lot of experts on international trade. And that is expertise that can be made available to the government, so that as we are negotiating trade agreements, as we are negotiating bilateral lending agreements, we are able to bring in a level of transparency into the same, and be able to boost the capacity of the government to also negotiate deals that are favorable to the country, and also ensure that there is transparency in the negotiations of those deals, because ultimately we all recognize that the government is not doing or engaging in those discussions for itself, but it is for and on behalf of the Kenyan public. And so there is a need to ensure that when that is done, it is done for the good of the country. And the only way we can do that is if we are able to bring in our expertise in our process, so that we are sure that the deals that are negotiated then are negotiated for the good of the country. We also need to work with Parliament to ensure that the reporting mechanisms to Parliament and the oversight function of Parliament with regards to those multilateral deals is also enhanced, so that there is that aspect of proper checks and balances within the government.